Hello, fellow orchid lovers who clicked on this video. Thank you so much for watching. Today we're going to be repotting my one and only Catasetum orchid, which is the Monnierara the witchcraft orchid. The orchid that has black flowers, okay? By the way, if you notice there's mess around me, it's because I'm in the middle of cleaning my plant stuff. But in my opinion, we gotta film the orchid stuff separate. And I got a lot of orchid repotting to do this spring / end of winter. Anyways, so like I said, we're repotting my Monnierara Millennium Witchcraft, which is right here. So I've had this orchid a year now. I bought it last year. I bought it because I wanted black flowers, honestly, okay? I didn't really know much about this orchid, but I did post the unboxing about it, and literally those of you who commented like you need to take special care of this orchid, you literally saved this orchid's life, because I had no idea how different the care for this orchid is than like a phalaenopsis, for example. So this guy, like, it's at first it seemed so complicated. I was kind of stressed, honestly. I literally printed out a paper that someone recommended. I printed it out and I would like keep reading it to understand. But throughout the year of having it, I feel like I understand a lot more. That's how I learn, honestly, is through trial and error. This is how it looks now. I was so excited to notice the new plant coming in, if you can see it there, this little bud, and this is the perfect time to repot. When I bought it last year, like, I should have repotted it as soon as I got it, but I didn't know enough so I didn't do that, but now I know. It also came in this literal exact, like, the whole thing right now, everything except this bulb. This is how it looked when I got it, and this was more full, but this is like how it looked when I got it. I now know that I need to get this thing repotted before this new sprout grows out roots. I don't think it has any roots growing out yet. It's kind of behind this sheath, which I should probably remove, but I'm not going to just quite yet. I know this is a lot of explaining, but I've learned so much throughout the year of having it. So apparently when I got it, I should have cut off this entire root ball, which is what I'm going to be doing today. And I know that I'm supposed to do it. I know that it's part of the orchid's life cycle, but it just feels so disturbing to cut off this entire thing. So we're gonna start off by doing that. Let me find my shears. I know it's very excessive, but I'm sterilizing these shears by fire because I am too lazy to go find some alcohol. And apparently it's very important to sterilize your shears. I've watched a ton of content about Catasetum orchids, and I know this is not like a Catasetum, but it's like, I don't know, I just know it's not a Catasetum, but it is a Catasetum. So yeah, that's my knowledge of orchids pretty much summed up. I'm gonna use this essentially as like a trash bin, but I'm gonna try and cut off all of this entire root mass. I'm so like, this is so disturbing. How do you even begin? So I'm not done, obviously, cutting off all the roots, but I don't know if you could tell, these roots are all dead, and that's pretty much why you can cut them all off. I am aware though that some people do leave the old roots on so that when you repot it, there's something to anchor the plant. So like if you pot just these rootless bulbs and there's nothing holding them down, then they're just going to be flopping everywhere. So that's why some people decide to keep the roots, but I kind of really wanted to cut that whole entire thing off. Like, I'm so glad it's over and done with. It kind of smelled as I was cutting it and I was like, oh my gosh, what have I been? I left, like, it definitely needed to be repotted, and I done goofed leaving it in there for so long. But anyways, I'm gonna keep on cutting until we got this all cleared out. It's free! It's so free! There's like nothing here now holding it down, and it can finally get a new comfortable pot. Also, I kind of freaked myself out, as I am wont to do, but this, I was like, oh my god, what if this is a flower spike and not a new growth? So I'm gonna check. I'm not gonna be able to tell regardless, but I think it's a new growth. That has to be a new growth. Okay, so when I had this orchid, this cute little orchid, when I had it, I would keep it, like, as you saw, it was really, it like stayed with the sphagnum moss it was in. It's pure sphagnum moss, by the way. So what I did was I just kept it in this disgusting glass container. So when I needed to water it, I would take it out, I would put it in water and then let it soak it all up since it was in pure sphagnum moss, and then let it kind of like dry a little bit and then put it back into this container. So this doesn't have a drainage hole. This is literally just, I feel like this is an old candle, honestly. So what I'm gonna do this time is I have this old jar. I'm not sure what was in it, but it's only slightly bigger than this. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put my little Catasetum in here, and I hope it will be fine in here. This doesn't have a drainage hole or anything. I've had a lot of practice of keeping plants in containers without drainage holes, so I think that I can not kill this. What I've seen, there's like so many methods people keep these orchids in, but one of them I saw was kind of like similar to semi-hydroponics, where there would be drilled holes here at the bottom, and it would kind of like use this bottom part as a wet reservoir. I was thinking of doing that, but I don't like, no, I don't want to do that. So I'm pretty much gonna try and keep the same technique as this, and you can tell when sphagnum moss is dry or wet. So I'm hoping that I'm gonna not overwater it. Another reason why I think a closed glass is better is because I am an underwaterer. And this orchid is going to need so much water when it's growing because it grows so quickly. It's ridiculous. Like, the whole lifespan of this orchid is growing extremely quickly, going dormant like it is right now, and then putting out a new little spike. So there's like only a certain amount of time for it to grow, and as you can imagine, it needs a lot of water. And if I have it in too airy of a container, like if I have it in a normal orchid pot, I know I'm gonna underwater it and it's not gonna grow. My goal this year is to see the flowers on this plant. Even if the buds blast and I only get one flower, at least getting a flower spike would be like amazing to me. I feel like I can do it this year. I was ill prepared last year. I was just like, ooh, pretty flowers, as you know, if you've seen my orchid videos, you know that's what I do. Or I'm like, oh, pretty leaves. But also, another thing is, since this thing gets so freaking huge, which I was not prepared for, like this thing is like a palm kind of in how it grows. So this is for some reason the only picture that I can find, but this was not even like the full size, and you can see it compared to my Monnierara albo leaf, when I had it, which it was really huge, so you can see just how big it gets. Like, it didn't even fit in this cabinet anymore. I had to move it out. It gets really big, so I'm gonna have to try and find a good spot for it. That is gonna be the toughest part, honestly. And also, it gets pests really easily. Last year, it got spider mites constantly, and I would have to keep wiping down the leaves to get rid of the spider mites. So maybe that was a contributing factor as to why it didn't bloom. Also, I just was so, like, I had no idea what was going on. I was like, oh my god, it's sprouting. So I feel like I'm more prepared this year to give it what it needs. Anyways, after saying all that, I have this sphagnum moss here. This is like very poor quality sphagnum moss. I have better quality, but I don't want to use it on this orchid since, as you can see, I just throw out whatever it was in whenever it goes dormant again. So I don't want to keep like every year replacing it with good moss. And I also have fine orchid bark. These are really water retentive, having sphagnum moss and fine orchid bark. I'm aware, but like I said, I underwater a lot. So I'm hoping this is going to be not too water retentive, because that's kind of a worry for me now, but I think it'll be fine because I can always pull back on watering. Here we go. I'm going to try and make it easy for you guys to see, but I'm going to try and grab like the better pieces of moss because I still don't like, even though it's in crappy moss, I don't want it to be like extremely crappy. This is very fine orchid bark. It's kind of making me nervous to use. It's also really dusty, which is not good. Maybe I should get bigger orchid bark. I'm gonna get bigger orchid bark. This is way too dusty. So I got medium orchid bark. It's a lot bigger, as you can see. So I think this will be safer. And this sphagnum moss is wet. It's a little damp, which I would prefer it not be, because I don't need to start watering this plant until the roots reach the stuff it's going to be in, the moss / bark mix that it's going to be in. So yeah, I would prefer the moss not to be damp, but I feel like it's okay. I don't think anything bad is going to happen necessarily. That would really suck if it did though. And I also kind of would use pure sphagnum because I did get it in pure sphagnum. I feel like it would be fine to do, but I just like adding orchid bark and being extra. A lot of people though use not pure sphagnum moss. I have seen one person use pure sphagnum, so I think it would be fine. But I think they were like an orchid grower, like they specifically grow orchids. So, and also when I got this, it was obviously from people who specifically grew orchids. And I'm excited that this is completely clear glass, so hopefully I can see all of the roots growing. This looks like pure sphagnum moss at this point. I'm getting to the bottom of this bag, so it's really dusty as well. All right, we're getting to the top here, and this is where we're gonna see if I can place this in here properly. And I want to have it so that the new growth is gonna have the most space. So I'm gonna push it off to the side a little bit, and literally I just need to sit it up here, so I'm gonna have to stake it. I literally just stole this from a plant behind me. I will return it once this plant roots and it has more, it's able to hold itself up. But for now, I'm stealing that away. And I'm gonna tie this up with this piece of Velcro, whatever. This, like I said, it's not permanent at all. It's just to keep it in place. So there we go. This is how it looks. This makes me so happy. Here's how it looks. So you can more clearly see how much bark is in here. Pretty cool, huh? And in the future, whenever it starts growing roots, I'm gonna document it because I'm very excited. I really want this plant to grow flowers. I mean, that's why I bought it. I didn't know it would be so intimidating to me at first. But now that I feel like I've got it down, I think I could get it to bloom. I'm very excited. Very, very excited. I'm very hopeful. If you guys have a Catasetum orchid, or even this one, this specifically, the black orchid one, the black flower one, the Witchcraft, let me know, because I feel like that might be the most common Catasetum, the Monnierara Millennium Witchcraft. Oh, the label. I almost forgot to put the label in, but it's here in case you wanted to know where I got it from too. I got it from White Plains Orchids in New York. I don't know why I ordered it from such a faraway place, but I'm happy with my little orchid. It's alive, and it's alive. It's not thriving yet, but it will be thriving, and it came obviously very healthy. There we go. Yeah, I'm gonna keep you guys updated on this. I have other orchids to repot right now, but that's gonna be in a separate video. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!